please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, we're going to talk about Lolcowlive today. I've been observing their more recent episodes since the firing, and including the firing, I guess, of Tommy C. As you may have heard in yesterday's video, I didn't support that. It seemed a bit shitty considering he was trying to get them all to work together to make a show together, and that's not how they work. It's strange to me that when Boogie did all this horrible stuff, scamming, lying, cheating, stealing, without the fun-loving Eddie Guerrero involved, he's essentially still there. Tommy, though, calling out that BS, Tommy C holding them to the mark, trying to keep the show going properly and getting them to work together was haram. Sorry. Haram! Are we allowed to say that with all the protests going on in the UK right now? You know what? Doesn't matter. Reaches my doorstep, it's a completely different problem. But apparently in the context of this, it was enough to get rid of Tommy C, which makes no sense to me. Tommy has since gone on his show, especially to expose the goings-on behind the scenes. More notably the fact they are not shareholders. They are merely employees of Daniel Keem, Killer Keemstar, the DJ. Now, for the sake of it, I really enjoy Lolcowlive. And that first show, where Boogie was in charge, was horrendous. It was embarrassing. It was cringe. It was embarrassing and cringe because Boogie does not know how to do a show. He tried to fake reaction and reactivity to try and be that angry version that people really enjoyed. It didn't resonate so well. The live chat and the comments and Twitter called him out for that. I doubt he paid much attention to it, because unless it was Metka and Muta saying it to him on stream, he won't hyper-focus on it and obsess over it because tunnel vision, instead favouring the donations and of course the revenue generated from the stream. I had speculated when the Boogie situation had died down, he would be back on the show. I had also speculated that the law of diminishing returns would come into effect, and it had come into effect right at the end when Boogie got the tattoo, because when it came to what he was doing, for the first 4 streams they did covering Boogie faking cancer, the views went up, and now it's going down again, which it will. To be honest, I think they'll do better in a live format. They just need to be a bit more consistent with the show they put on. I also think as a show, because I really do want it to succeed, but not with Boogie to be honest, but I want it to succeed because I want shows like this to be something on the internet, somewhere where we can have a laugh at lolcows. You can't have a laugh at one of the lolcows who's presenting because he can't take a joke. You need someone who's in charge of the show who's not a lolcow. That's what you need. You need the balance. So the lolcows can be let off their leashes while the host is the person that keeps them in check, which is why I thought Tommy C was there, to be honest. Now in that first stream since Boogie's reintegration, because he's totally fired still, yes, and Boogie hosted and it went down like a lump of lead, Keemstar came back for this newest episode. Top left, yes. As you see, the views aren't as great either. It's still doing really well though. I would kill for these kind of views on a live show. They get thousands of viewers live. I can sometimes get a couple hundred, which is awesome. Of course it is. Different levels of content. Lolcowlive is not the same as Moistonian, but I had believed with the end that Keemstar was going to step back and let these guys off the leash. But as we've covered in various tweets here and there, Keem has come to the realization he actually needs to be hands-on. He has to play God, as it were. He has to be the person to rein them in because no one will listen to anyone else.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the worst podcast on all of YouTube, Lolcowlive. Where do I even begin? So much drama, so much nonsense since this show was at its ultimate heights. It's been a f***ing messy week. It's been a messy week. As soon as I walked away from the show, nothing got done. Nothing got done at all. These guys couldn't organize anything. They couldn't set up a show. They couldn't figure it out without me directing orders at every single person, which makes no sense.
Apparently Keem's Karen or Ken behavior is good enough to get people involved. Congratulations. Now yesterday I showed you the social blade for Lolcowlive. It had lost 200 subs, but it has since recovered that 100 it lost on one of the days and gone up another 100. I didn't think that it would be a long-term loss with Tommy being removed because Tommy isn't a well-known enough name. I think in the context of the show, because of the accusation being levied at it of manufactured drama, had Boogie not gotten the tattoo, there is a possibility the show would have lost some more subscribers. But I think people live for this kind of mess. It's why you see it in certain communities when there is a lolcow people like to gravitate towards. This was not helped, as I earlier mentioned, by Boogie being a host, where he is not suited to being one, and he just could not control when he was or was not going to have an outburst, and he wouldn't let anyone finish a sentence. Doesn't work with Wings very well. Within this chemical mix, you need a third, a catalyst. Somebody who can instigate what needs to be instigated and rein it in when it needs to be reined in. To be honest, Keem's not the worst option, if he's willing to do it. But I know he's busy sorting out Drama Alert, so it's not always possible he'll be available. Also, it can be argued at times he is considered sometimes to be a lolcow, but he's not as poor as the other two. Man made his money and kept it. They made money and they blew it. Now, in the case of Wings, there is context. In the case of Boogie, he's stupid. I know you can argue the same with Wings as well, but the context is a little different. What I thought I'd do is go through a few clips from the more recent episode of Lolcowlive and see how they're getting on trying to find a replacement for Tommy C.
And then there's the whole situation with Tommy C, who, in my opinion, quit the show. And let me explain. This mother did everything possible to be fired where I had to fire him.
Do forgive me if I seem a little pedantic here, but I get this from my audience. It's a rather negative trait that I intend to address at a later date. But by Tommy doing everything he could to get fired, in your mind, that is equivalent to him quitting the show. But according to Tommy, he wasn't trying to quit the show at all. He had outright stated the only way you're getting rid of him is if you fire him, because he wouldn't sign an NDA, and because he wanted people to have meetings and talk. This again was discussed on Tommy C's show. Now, Keemstar carries on for a few minutes and he talks about the Beta podcast and the rise of Tommy C from that. How the percentages originally worked out between himself, Clown, and Tommy, because Keem drove most of the traffic. Colossal didn't have the presence, and Tommy had 200 subs at the time. He definitely did not have the presence, traffic, or audience. How that eventually became something discussing finances on air, and how it fell apart. And then how, upon agreeing to splits for this podcast, it was a rule they not discuss finances on air, to which they did. I found that strange, to be honest. Talking about money on air was a bit of an odd one because you rely, especially in the live setting, when you went live anyway, it becomes strange because then you're reliant on the audience anyway to support you. The podcast didn't need to have the numbers broadcast, but there was something about that making that kind of money that people felt the need to suddenly share it, and I never quite understood that.
So I tried to get everyone to sign the NDA. Wings gave me a little bit of pushback, but signed it. Boogie signed it. And Tommy C decided, not only am I not going to sign this, I'm going to post the NDA on Twitter. Okay, well, now you're working against us, bud. So that was when he was on vacation. I thought, maybe things would calm down. We'll eventually have a meeting. We'll talk this out, once Tommy cools down, once I cool down, because I was pissed too at the time. Well, he comes back from vacation. Does it work?
In one respect, I felt slightly sorry for Tommy. Firstly, the NDA is a bit redundant. You just needed a gentleman's agreement between all of you that you'd stop it. If you can't abide the gentleman's agreement, it come with a forfeit. NDA is redundant, really. It wasn't legally binding either. Second, I felt sorry for Tommy because when it came to the Boogie stuff, he was on vacation. He missed out on the hottest part of the show. Not his fault, although at the same time he and Keem had an argument, so perhaps not the greatest time. And what could Tommy have added to the discussion at that point? And just before we continue, because I need to put something on from the show itself as opposed to Keemstar ranting for the first 20 minutes. This show is an absolute mess, and that is what makes this show as appealing as it is. People gravitate towards toxicity. This doesn't resonate as well because Tommy's been perceived to have been screwed over in the past. I have chosen that word on purpose because I'm not as knowledgeable on the subject matter, and it is often open to interpretation. If the mess dies down, then people are less interested in what Lolcowlive can be. And I do think there's a point about having more shorts made, so your editor needs to do his job, although I believe he has since been fired.
But again, they'll fix it.
Hold up on the donations. Nicholas DeOris said Tommy tweeted the editor was fired.
When was he fired?
I haven't got this information.
Yeah.
He hasn't been fired.
He hasn't been fired as far as I know.
I mean, he created the thumbnail for this tweet.
Yeah, and
if Tommy's up tweeting, why didn't Tommy get on the show?
Yep, probably out of like some sort of, I don't want to be on that show. If I didn't do it, I deleted it. I did it. You know.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Because he didn't upload shorts for an entire month, and we don't need a goddamn editor anymore.
Yep.
You also need to make sure that when you're doing these shows, you have video formats as well, because people want to digest videos, and that has the best bits, the shorts as well accompanying that. When the channel's big enough, you could separate Lolcowlive as a live channel and have a video channel as well, maybe even a shorts channel. It's not the worst idea, really, is it?
Do you guys want to voice your opinion on Tommy? Did you hear the last thing I said? I said, listen, I'm going to leave the door open a crack. Maybe in the future, things can be amends or something. Another thing that I didn't talk about, which I probably should have talked about, is I have not been liking Tommy's performances. And that's also another issue on top of this. Whatever Keemstar wants, I'm going to do the exact opposite type shit that he's been doing.
I don't personally think Tommy needs the show, and I don't think the show needs him either. If Tommy decides to go back, that wouldn't be too surprising. Also, him not going back would not be surprising either. Finding another host could be entertaining. A rolling guest host, perhaps. Didn't Have I Got News For You do that after Angus Deaton got done for sleeping with a prostitute? There's another aspect to this show that needed to be addressed, because the Tommy C. Keemstar thing is its own entity. The other is something I mentioned yesterday that we're going to have to address today, and that concerns the Comic Sans fonted tattoo yep, on Cancer 2988's face.
No. Yeah.
Hey, stay on topic.
I'm sorry, but you know, I can't trust chat. Chat has lost all credibility, obviously, as a whole.
You're worried about the show, the chat losing credibility with us. What about Boogie's fucking tattoo? Where's that credibility at? It looks like it's drawn on with a crayon.
Wait, stay on topic. I was about to make a point.
This has been a point for a few streams, and on social media there's been much in the way of speculation that this tattoo is not properly done. I don't know how you can balls it up, because I'm not too familiar with tattoos. I was always led to believe, though, that the needle goes so far in, takes a few days, and then it sets, as it were. Over time, it will fade, it will blur, so you get it touched up, refined, redefined if required.
Weird, bitch. All right, Tommy, stay on topic.
Wait, let me finish this point, and then we do need to talk about the tattoo. Dude!
Where were they on our side then?
I forgot about that.
Haters. So, okay, well, let's get to this tattoo thing, because this is like, I have creators calling me up and they're saying like, hey, did Keem, off record, did Boogie fake his tattoo? And I tell them, I don't know. I'm not in Arkansas. If he did, he's really...
Boogie doesn't rage about this as much as I was hoping he would, but he does start to backpedal a little, talk about the legitimacy of the tattoo, which leads to him having to shave the side of his face so he can get a better view of the tattoo.
How would you fake it? It was live. I had a needle going in and out of my face. You filmed the blood.
Well, we couldn't see the needle going in and out of your face. We had a dude blocking it.
And you couldn't hear the gun. The gun was making no sound.
I'm going to play devil's advocate on the needle point, not making any sound. The devil's advocate part is I have used phone microphones for certain audio I've done, and I've discovered it doesn't pick up on my phone, my Google Pixel phone, it doesn't pick up certain buzzing noises. So I could believe that the needle was working, but I will point out this still, no, I'm still not convinced. I'm only going to play audio devil's advocate, but actually my belief is it's still not a real tattoo.
Secondly, explain to me why it's all scarred and bleeding then if it's fake.
It doesn't look scarred and bleeding to me. It looks like it's barely there.
Can you get your girlfriend to put the flashlight on your phone on that real quick?
Yeah, I can do that actually. Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you had somebody come in and look at your tattoo, like on a glance, nobody would know that the word was liar.
The one thing I hated about the tattoo is how Boogie was happy about getting it. Like, that was such a letdown. He's like, I'm okay with it now. Like, yay, I'm feel good today.
Rather than prolong your suffering and having to look at the cheeks of Boogie, perhaps we should look at the end product of the shaving.
You're taking too long.
I need a host that hates me.
Okay, can we see it now that it's shaved? Let's go.
Well, I'm gonna get it all.
Oh, for fuck's sake! This is the longest.
Don't you want to see it?
Yeah. Is that the term? This is what he did. He was quiet quitting. Let's
Here
see.
we are. So it's faded for sure, but it's real.
No offense intended, but it looks like it was drawn in a Sharpie, and that now you've bothered to wash your face a little bit, some of the ink has come off. Now I do know, because my next door neighbour is a tattoo artist, you're supposed to leave it for a few days to let it sink, set, do its thing. I could believe the tattoo is real, and that you then went and scrubbed your face to make sure that ink didn't fully set in. I could also believe the needle barely went into your skin at all, and that you've simply peeled that layer off. I could also believe that it was drawn in a pen shaped to look like a tattoo gun, or that you simply had the tattoo ink put over your face with a stencil.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. This will be here
Dude,
a year.
I think it's even worse now. Like,
That's
dude,
fake.
can you
It's
pull
real.
a fucking tattoo up when it first got done? It was nice and vibrant and black.
It
I
got
mean, the ease.
infected.
I mean,
It
the
got
eye is not even
infected.
there.
Yeah, it got infected, and I picked it every day until Desi made me stop.
No.
Oh, you know what happened there? You got that with a fucking Tootsie Roll or some shit. Like, what,
No,
what
no.
kind of
I mean-
tattoo is that?
I mean, it's not going to get any more faded than this because it's healing. I mean, it's going to be there for the rest of my life. I won't
mean,
even bother
or at
lasering
least
that.
another month. I mean, like,
No.
No,
No.
I'm telling you, in a year, it'll still be here. I'm telling you.
I would be very impressed if it is still there in a year. I'm not surprised that you say it got infected, so you picked at it, because that's what children do. Usually we apply some kind of ointment. I assume you ate it. Jokes aside, no one believes the tattoo is real, so I think you should, when it's healed up, have it redone. If you're going to have the word liar on your face, at least have it say liar and not a faded LAR or L-gap-AR. I mean, just an L's okay because you took one, but at least if you're going to have a tattoo, make it real and then get it signed by Chris Chan. In fact, if you can get some of your guests on the show, have them sign your face and get that tattooed on as well, because I think it'd be a great way of immortalizing some of the lolcows of the internet. You have plenty of jowl to work with after all.